The Galactic Council had seen it all, countless civilizations rising from the dust, shining briefly, then crumbling under the weight of their own ambition. But humans were different. The warnings were clear, the signs undeniable, a species driven not just by survival, but by an insatiable hunger to conquer, adapt, and dominate. When the Council chose to ignore the Primarch's dire caution, it set the stage for a cataclysm unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. What followed was not just a clash of species, but a battle for the very fabric of the cosmos, where the price of underestimating humanity would be paid in blood and stars. The Galactic Council convened in the Celestial Spire, a structure suspended in a nebula of shimmering blue light. Within its hallowed halls, beings of unimaginable intellect and age gathered, each representing a civilization that had long mastered the complexities of existence. They spoke through thought, their minds entwined in a network of pure energy. Decisions made here shaped galaxies, determined fates, and dictated the ebb and flow of cosmic history. On this particular day, the subject of their deliberation was both peculiar and trivial, at least, according to most of the attendees. The Primarchs, the eldest and most venerated species in the Council, had issued a warning that bordered on comedic. Their concern revolved around an obscure race from the fringes of a forgotten arm of the Milky Way galaxy. A species so insignificant that many had to consult their databases to remember their name: humans. The Primarchs, glowing with the light of 1 billion lifetimes of wisdom, spoke with a calm gravitas that commanded attention. Humans, they began, their voices resonating like the hum of a distant star, are unlike any species we have encountered. They are inventive, resilient, and unyielding, but their greatest strength is also their most dangerous flaw: they know not when to stop. The announcement was met with a collective sigh. The Xantharians, a race of floating orbs that communicated in bursts of color, turned a dull shade of gray an expression of profound boredom. The Rel, whose gelatinous forms rippled in response to stimuli, jiggled dismissively. Even the mechanical Plorix, known for their logical precision, emitted a low-frequency buzz that could only be interpreted as a metallic groan. Are we truly here? One entity transmitted telepathically to discuss a species that hasn't yet discovered faster than light travel. They are barely out of their gravity well. Next, you'll tell us to fear fire ants. Laughter rippled through the chamber. The notion of humans as a galactic threat was absurd. After all, what could a race of hair-covered bipeds, still squabbling over planetary resources, possibly achieve against civilizations that had mapped the multiverse? The Primarchs, however, were undeterred. It is not their current state that concerns us, they continued, their radiant forms pulsing with urgency. It is their potential. They are masters of chaos, architects of destruction. They do not merely adapt, they reinvent the rules. The Council remained skeptical. Potential? Every fledgling species had potential until it burned itself out in a flash of hubris. The Primarchs might as well have been warning about a meteor shower that could, theoretically, erode the hull of a ship in 1,000 years. Still, the Primarchs persisted, weaving images of humanity's rise, of how they had survived extinction-level events, conquered their world's harshest climates, and turned every setback into an opportunity. But even the vivid projections failed to sway the room. The Council had seen this cycle before: a species rises, makes noise, and then collapses under the weight of its own ambition. Humans, they assumed, were no different. The debate dragged on, but in the end, the Council voted overwhelmingly to disregard the warning. They saw no reason to divert resources or attention to a species so far beneath their notice. The Primarchs, their light dimmed with resignation, withdrew into their contemplative silence. Their parting words echoed faintly in the chamber: "You laugh now, but you will remember this day." As the Council dispersed, the Xantharians joked that perhaps humans could serve as entertainment galactic jesters stumbling through space. The Plorix mused that humans might accidentally invent a self-destruct button for their own planet, saving the Council the trouble. Even the solemn Rel wobbled with mirth. But in the distant darkness of the Milky Way, humanity continued its relentless march toward the stars, blissfully unaware that they had just been dismissed as a cosmic footnote. Humanity's first steps into the cosmos were anything but graceful. Like a toddler trying to sprint before mastering a walk, They hurtled into space with all the subtlety of a meteor strike. Their earliest ships were little more than metal cans held together by duct tape and dreams, fueled by equal parts ingenuity and sheer audacity. Yet, against all odds, they reached the stars and promptly made an interstellar fool of themselves. Their initial encounters with alien life were accidental. Humanity's early explorers stumbled into a trade convoy belonging to the serene and peace-loving Guldriths. The Guldriths, whose translucent, jellyfish-like forms glided through the void, extended a metaphorical hand of friendship. Unfortunately, humanity interpreted this as a prelude to attack. Within minutes, the Guldrith convoy was hit with everything from missiles to what could only be described as an aggressively weaponized toaster. The Guldriths, caught entirely off guard, retreated in panic, leaving behind an assortment of trade goods in act of surrender that humans, naturally, interpreted as tribute. The news spread quickly across Earth. Humanity had won its first interstellar encounter, though no one could explain what the victory was actually about. Politicians proclaimed the event a monumental success, while scientists quietly muttered about how lucky everyone had been that the Guldriths didn't fight back. With newfound confidence and an inflated sense of galactic importance, humanity pressed further into the void. They soon encountered the Tarvox, a species of towering insectoids whose civilization spanned hundreds of worlds. The Tarvox, misunderstanding humanity's crude transmissions, assumed the small fleet of human ships was an envoy seeking aid. In response, they sent a single ambassadorial vessel equipped with translators and legifs. The humans, however, had other ideas. "They're testing our defenses," proclaimed one overeager commander, immediately ordering an attack. The ambassadorial ship, unarmed and entirely unprepared for conflict, was swiftly obliterated. Humanity's military chalked it up as another triumph, while the Tarvox reeled in disbelief. Their leaders convened to discuss this baffling species that seemed to thrive on chaos and overreaction. Word of humanity's blunders spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The phrase "shoot first, ask later" if it all became synonymous with humans. Peaceful species began avoiding the region of space humanity occupied, referring to it as the insanity zone. Galactic cartographers even updated maps to include a bright red warning: "Approach at your own risk, humans." Not all encounters were hostile, however. On occasion, humanity's sheer absurdity saved them. When they stumbled into the territory of the Morvi, a hyper-intelligent, amphibian-like race known for their cunning, disaster seemed imminent. Yet, instead of hostility, the Morvi watched in stunned amazement as humanity's ships malfunctioned mid-flight, ejecting crew members into space in a display so bizarre it bordered on performance art. The Morvi, amused beyond reason, dubbed humans the clowns of the cosmos and left them in peace. Still, not all species were as forgiving. Among those wronged were the Interminar, whose crystalline cities were reduced to rubble after humans mistook their reflective architecture for hostile weaponry. In the span of weeks, humanity had gone from an unknown curiosity to a galactic menace, their antics leaving a trail of bewildered civilizations in their wake. The Galactic Council, still unconvinced by the Primarch's earlier warnings, began to pay attention. Humanity, it seemed, was not a harmless anomaly but a growing problem. Their unpredictability made them dangerous. Their knack for stumbling into conflict made them a hazard. And yet, for every world they antagonized, humanity's relentless ambition only seemed to grow stronger. Humanity's relentless expansion through the galaxy became the stuff of legends and nightmares. What began as accidental misunderstandings escalated into a calculated march of conquest. Humans were like cosmic weeds spreading to every corner of space, thriving in conditions where other species wouldn't even bother to unpack. Their motto seemed to be, "If it's not nailed down, it's ours. If it is nailed down, we'll take the nails too." The first casualties of this expansion were the Akara. The Akara, renowned for their ethereal crystalline cities, where a serene Thermalu spent their millennia perfecting art, philosophy, and peaceful coexistence. Their worlds shimmered like jewels in the night, breathtaking in their beauty and untouched by conflict. To humans, however, those glittering towers looked like one thing: resources. When human ships appeared in Akara space, the Akara sent emissaries in their finest ceremonial regalia, prepared to welcome these strange newcomers with open arms. Unfortunately, the humans interpreted the glowing crystalline structures as weaponized fortresses and the Akara's approach as a prelude to battle. Within hours, the Akara homeworld was subjected to a barrage of missiles and orbital strikes, their cities reduced to shimmering rubble. Humanity declared it a decisive victory, though the Akara had never even known they were at war. Other civilizations fared no better. The gentle Hariks, a race of plant-like beings who communicated through pheromones, tried to broker peace by sending emissaries laden with gifts of exotic fruits and flowers. Humanity, unfamiliar with pheromone-based communication, assumed the gifts were poisoned and retaliated with flamethrowers and napalm. The Hariks' lush, green worlds were transformed into barren wastelands. To the humans, it was another triumph. To the rest of the galaxy, it another atrocity in a growing list. As humanity spread, their peculiar blend of ingenuity and audacity allowed them to overcome challenges that would have stymied other species. They built colonies in toxic atmospheres, mined unstable planets, and even managed to weaponize asteroid fields. To observers, it seemed as though humans viewed the universe as a particularly stubborn puzzle that just needed enough brute force to solve. Their tactics were as reckless as they were effective. When they encountered the technologically advanced Andron, whose fleets were among the most formidable in the galaxy, humanity didn't hesitate. Instead of engaging in a protracted battle, they hacked into the Xandron fleet's central command system and replaced its navigation data with coordinates for a black hole. Half the Chandran fleet vanished into the abyss before they realized what had happened. Humanity celebrated with fireworks. The Chandran declared humanity a galactic plague. It wasn't just humanity's military might that terrified the galaxy, it was their adaptability. When their ships malfunctioned, they repaired them with whatever was on hand, from scrap metal to chewing gum. When resources ran low, they scavenged with a determination that bordered on insanity. They saw every obstacle as an opportunity to prove their resilience. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as humanity's reach extended ever farther. For every world they conquered, 3 more fell silent, their inhabitants choosing retreat or hiding over resistance. Humanity didn't just claim territory, they redefined what it meant to survive. Where others saw impossible odds, humans saw an open invitation to chaos. As humanity's influence spread like a supernova on a caffeine rush, the galaxy's civilizations began forming coalitions to contain the chaos. The Galactic Council, once dismissive of the fledgling species, now held emergency summits with the frequency of a malfunctioning alarm clock. Even the most arrogant empires found themselves agreeing on one thing: humans were a problem that demanded a solution. The first attempts at containment were diplomatic. Delegations were dispatched, each one carefully chosen from species deemed culturally incompatible with war. These included the ethereal Pluravians, who communicated through melodic vibrations, and the peaceful Chirics, whose entire language consisted of rhythmic clicks. The humans, however, seemed immune to charm or nuance. The Pluravians were greeted with ear-splitting dubstep blasted from planetary loudspeakers, while the Chirics' rhythmic overtures were mistaken for Morse code distress signals. Before long, the diplomats were fleeing under heavy fire, their peace offerings left smoldering in the vacuum of space. Realizing that diplomacy was about as effective as throwing water at a black hole, the galaxy turned to more direct measures. The Chandran, still nursing their wounds from their earlier humiliation, proposed a united fleet of vast armada designed to outgun, outmaneuver, and overwhelm humanity. The Council approved the plan with enthusiasm, believing it was finally time to put these upstart primates in their place. The fleet was a masterpiece of galactic engineering, composed of ships from every major civilization. The Vortari contributed their gravity-warping frigates, the Morrowind added their cloaking-capable destroyers, and even the stoic Plorix offered their indestructible dreadnoughts. Together, they formed an unprecedented force, a juggernaut meant to crush any resistance. The galaxy watched with bated breath as the armada descended upon humanity's scattered colonies. The humans, predictably, did not play by the rules. Instead of engaging the fleet in traditional battle, they deployed tactics so unorthodox that they defied reason. Entire colonies self-destructed to create debris fields that disabled approaching ships. Cargo freighters were modified into kamikaze drones packed with explosives, ramming straight into the heart of the armada. Most absurdly, humans began broadcasting a signal that disrupted targeting systems with images of dancing cats and banana memes. The Armada, unprepared for such lunacy, fell into disarray. Gravity-warping frigates collided with cloaked destroyers, dreadnoughts fired on their own allies, and entire squadrons became entangled in humanity's improvised minefields. What should have been a swift and decisive campaign turned into a cosmic slapstick routine, with the humans laughing all the way to victory. By the time the fleet retreated, battered and humiliated, humanity had gained a new reputation. They weren't just dangerous, they were unpredictable. To the galaxy's great embarrassment, they had turned the most advanced civilizations into a disorganized circus. The Galactic Council reconvened, their pride bruised and their resources drained. The humans, meanwhile, celebrated their victory with barbecues and zero-gravity beer pong, oblivious to the chaos they had unleashed on a galactic scale. For them, it was just another day proving that rules were optional and survival was an art form best painted in chaos. While the Galactic Council licked its wounds, humanity continued its meteoric rise with all the grace of a drunken asteroid. Their technology, once mocked for being primitive, evolved at a breakneck pace. It wasn't innovation so much as a series of happy accidents, engineers tinkering until something exploded, then building it bigger and louder. Somehow, these chaotic experiments yielded results. Humanity's ships, once little more than flying tin cans, were now sleek, formidable vessels that could outrun, outgun, and outmaneuver even the most advanced fleets. The galaxy watched in horrified fascination as humanity pushed boundaries that no one had dared approach. When they discovered a dying star with a gravitational anomaly, most species would have documented it from a safe distance. Humans? They parked a fleet right next to it and began harvesting its energy. The operation was wildly dangerous, with several ships obliterated in the process, but the payoff was immense. The energy harvested powered entire colonies, and the humans walked away with a new nickname, the Star Thieves. Next came the incident with the Rylos Nebula, a swirling cloud of volatile gases that had long been considered uninhabitable. The Council's finest scientists had deemed it a no-go zone after countless probes dissolved upon entry. Humanity naturally saw it as a prime real estate opportunity. Within months, they had established floating cities within the nebula, protected by shields that ran on a power source no one could understand because even the humans who built it weren't entirely sure how it worked. If it doesn't explode, their engineers joked, it's stable enough. This reckless ingenuity infuriated the galaxy's more methodical civilizations. The Plorix masters of precise engineering issued a public statement calling humanity an affront to logic. The statement was met with a human response in the form of a meme featuring a poorly drawn alien and the caption, "Why so serious?" The meme went viral across human colonies while the Plorix seethed in quiet rage. As humanity's influence grew, so did their notoriety. Entire sectors were reclassified as human-occupied zones, with warnings to avoid them unless absolutely necessary. Despite their chaotic methods, or perhaps because of them, humanity was thriving. They weren't just surviving in hostile environments, they were flourishing, building trade networks, terraforming planets, and even forging reluctant alliances with fringe species. The apex of their unpredictability came with the Jormund incident. The Jormund were a reclusive species known for their unrivaled mastery of biotechnology. They had created living ships, self-repairing armor, and even biomechanical planets. When humanity stumbled upon one of their outposts, most expected a war. Instead, the humans sent a shipment of Earth's most prized export, pizza. The Jormund, whose diet consisted solely of nutrient paste, were baffled but intrigued. After tasting the strange delicacy, they promptly declared humanity tolerable. The incident baffled the Council, but it became clear that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships or their technology, it was their sheer absurdity. Who else could weaponize culinary diplomacy? In the wake of these events, the galaxy realized one immutable truth. Humans didn't just survive, they thrived by turning impossibility into opportunity, chaos into order, and enemies into unlikely friends. By the time humanity reached its 6th decade of galactic exploration, their reputation had solidified into something akin to a spacefaring urban legend. Entire civilizations traded stories about the humans, those unpredictable, scrappy creatures who somehow always emerged victorious, often leaving confusion and debris in their wake. It was said that wherever humans went, three things followed: mayhem, resource extraction, and, inexplicably, laughter. Among the galaxy's elite strategists, humanity became a case study in the dangers of underestimation. Entire think tanks were dedicated to understanding their erratic behavior with little success. The Derivex Consortium, known for their highly analytical approach to warfare, famously spent 12 years attempting to predict humanity's military tactics. Their conclusion: they don't have tactics, they just wing it. The report was quickly classified as admitting defeat to a species that improvised its way through galactic crises was too humiliating to bear. The galaxy's attempts to contain humanity became increasingly desperate. Blockades were established, forbidding human ships from entering protected territories. It took all of 3 weeks for humans to bypass them by inventing stealth bubbles, which cloaked their vessels with an experimental, glittery coating. The technology worked flawlessly, except for one minor hiccup. It left a trail of shimmering particles wherever the ships traveled. Galactic security forces called it a disaster. Humanity called it space art. Then came the VIX conflict, a fiasco that cemented humanity's reputation as the galaxy's ultimate wild card. The Vixix, a warlike species of reptilian predators, declared war on humanity after a misunderstanding involving territorial boundaries and an ill-advised human mining operation. The Vix had centuries of battle experience, a fleet of fearsome dreadnoughts, and a planet-sized war machine called Wrath. Eternal humanity had a motley assortment of ships, outdated weapons, and a surprisingly high tolerance for caffeine-induced decision-making. The battle began with what appeared to be a full-scale retreat. Human ships scattered across the sector, fleeing at top speed. The Vix took the bait, pursuing them with relentless determination. What they didn't realize was that humanity wasn't retreating. They were leading the Vix fleet straight into an asteroid field that had been meticulously rigged with explosives. When the trap was sprung, the resulting chain reaction obliterated half the Vix armada. The remaining ships fled in disarray, and the Wrath Eternal found itself stranded, its engines sabotaged by what was later identified as a swarm of mechanized squirrels deployed by human engineers. The victory was celebrated across human colonies with parades, fireworks, and an inexplicable surge in squirrel-themed merchandise. For the Vixix, it was a humiliation of epic proportions. Their leaders resigned en masse, unable to explain how their galaxy-spanning war machine had been outwitted by a species that once debated whether Pluto was a planet. The Galactic Council, now thoroughly exasperated, convened yet another emergency session. A new resolution was proposed. Humanity would no longer be treated as a minor annoyance, but as a significant galactic force. Yet even as they deliberated, one question loomed larger than ever. How could anyone hope to outmaneuver a species that turned chaos into their greatest weapon? The galaxy eventually came to accept an inconvenient truth. Humans weren't a problem that could be solved. They were an unstoppable force of nature, a cosmic hurricane with a penchant for reinvention and snacks. While the Galactic Council debated endlessly about strategies, treaties, and containment policies, humanity continued its meteoric rise, unapologetically reshaping the stars in its chaotic image. It wasn't long before humanity's influence reached even the most reclusive civilizations. The Zontal, a mysterious species that had isolated themselves for millennia, were the last holdouts. Their world, encased in an unbreakable energy shield, was thought impenetrable. Naturally, this challenge was irresistible to humanity. Instead of deploying weapons or fleets, they resorted to their most dangerous asset, persistence. The Zontal awoke one morning to find a human probe wedged against their shield, endlessly broadcasting pop music and advertisements for vacation packages to Earth. At first, they ignored it. But when the humans started launching party balloons filled with holographic messages and videos of dancing penguins, the Zontal finally relented. Lowering their shields, they demanded an explanation. Humanity's response was as baffling as ever. We just wanted to say hi. The Zontal, perplexed but intrigued, decided to enter the galactic stage, though they admitted the penguins had been oddly compelling. Meanwhile, humanity's knack for survival reached new heights. Their colonists on the volcanic world of Inferna Prime, deemed uninhabitable by every other species, thrived by turning lava flows into geothermal power plants. When asked how they managed to live in such a hostile environment, their official statement was, "It's toasty, but we've got sunscreen." This adaptability earned them respect, even from former adversaries. The Sandrin, who once sought humanity's destruction, begrudgingly began trading with them. The Vix, nursing their pride, signed an uneasy peace treaty, though rumors persisted that they refused to speak the word squirrel ever again. The Plorix, after centuries of engineering disdain, begrudgingly admitted that some human inventions like duct, tape, and coffee machines were ingenious, if aesthetically questionable. Despite their reputation, humanity wasn't just a force of destruction. They became an unlikely unifier. Their audacious exploits and absurd antics brought species together in ways no one could have anticipated. Galactic forums buzzed with memes of human exploits, from the time they terraformed a moon by accident to the infamous zero-gravity noodle fight that nearly started a diplomatic incident. The Galactic Council, once humanity's harshest critic, began to see them as something more a chaotic yet valuable addition to the galactic fabric. Their unpredictability, while maddening, often inspired innovation. Their boundless optimism, even in the face of impossible odds, reminded the galaxy of something it had long forgotten: the power of audacity and imagination. In the end, the Council issued a final proclamation. Humans were no longer a galactic menace, but an official member of the Council. Their seat was adorned with a plaque that read, "Keep calm and brace for chaos." The galaxy, for better or worse, had made peace with its most bizarre inhabitants. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Sci-Fi Horizon Stories for more thrilling tales of science fiction and adventure.